Residents of Botiano, Redtop, Adaklu, Westhills City, Wager SEC, and other adjoining communities have reportedly been living in fear these past few weeks because of activities which have been happening within this enclave. Today on Say It Loud, we'll be speaking to a chairman of the Landlords and Residents Association who will be giving us a dive into exactly what has been happening in these areas, which is causing these massive fear among residents. My name is Lord Harris Edwasari. When we return from the break, we introduce our guest and delve into the conversation. Please stay tuned.
Hello, my name is Kofi Otri Dakwa, and I'm very excited to be part of the Ghana Web Road Safety Campaign. Once you get behind your steer, you should know that you're not the only one that you're protecting. You're also protecting other people. So please conform to what you see on the road in terms of the speed limits, go by the speed limits. Another thing I'd like to say is that please, no matter how small it is in terms of alcohol, once you know you're going to drive, don't drink. So go ahead, do the right thing, save a life.
Welcome back. You're still watching Say It Loud with me, Lord Harris Edwasari. Today, our guest is the chairman of the Westhills Landlords and Residents Association in the person of Reverend Redu Entry. Reverend Entry, why are residents of Westhills living in fear?
We've been living in fear for about a month now, apparently because of rampant earth tremor experiences we've been having. This place is one of the earmarked earthquake-prone zones.
That is true.
And sometime about a month ago, we've been experiencing the frequency is very high, and the intensity too is very high. So having at the back of our minds that here is an earthquake-prone zone and experiencing it frequently, more than past years.
What you have been used to.
What we are used to. And again, the intensity being so severe, naturally, everybody will be afraid and be panicking. So that is the kind of fear in which we are now. And initially, we thought that it was a natural thing, not knowing it wasn't, because we never saw it reported in any of the national media platforms. And people began to report cracks of their properties, their walls, and their TVs falling from the walls on our association platforms.
Because of the tremor?
Because of the tremor. Then, once we also didn't pick any clue that is being reported by the Geological Survey and any of the media houses, we realized, the spread probably is not wide enough. But then we had an intel that this is as a result of the Chinese construction that is going on down there, because they are doing blasting of rocks. Down towards the mall, Westhills Mall.
Okay.
Opposite the Fortune City.
Okay. Which company is that?
It's a Sunda manufacturing company. They're doing massive earthworks there towards construction of a new factory. So one Saturday, last week Saturday night, we had a massive shake, a tremor. People reported, and as a leader, we quickly had to move to Sunda. I went there with one of our members who's a civil engineer, Engineer Obietria, and Dan, one of our traditional leaders from Botiano who lives here. We went there, we approached the Chinese, they admitted that they did the blasting. It was around 7:30 p.m. They did the blasting. We demanded to have their permit. They declined giving us the permit. So right there, we reported the matter to the MC and the MP. I can say that the two gentlemen were magnanimous enough. They availed and convened a meeting between the MP convened meeting between the association and the managing director of Sunda.
Was the EPA involved in this? Was it
No,
reported to the
initially EP wasn't involved. In fact, it happened Saturday, the bad day the MP convened the meeting. He was very strict. We gathered there and he requested Sunda Manufacturing Company to put a halt to it, to stop the blasting. And let us judge and find a better option of doing that, because he's received numerous complaints to the extent that an old woman who is bedridden had to be evacuated and sent to East Legon because of the rampant and the frequency of the tremor.
Oh, really?
Yes. And people's TV also fallen from the wall. The MD assured us, but they went and that same day started blasting.
So we realized that you released a statement
Yes.
on Saturday.
Yes.
Did the MP and the MC have the meeting with management of the company after your statement or before the statement?
It was before the statement.
Or before the statement?
Yeah, before the statement. The first option, we went in there to engage them. They didn't comply. They kept doing it. We escalated it to the MC and the MP. The MP met us with the MD. They still didn't budge it. They kept doing it. So last Saturday's statement that I issued was as a result of another major tremor that we experienced as a result of the blasting.
Okay.
That made us trigger it to the media. So if they didn't respect the MP and the MC, let's take it to the media. Broader stakeholders, so to come to the attention of broader stakeholders, including the Minerals Commission that issued the permits to them, including geological survey. We are looking also up to EPA. This has become a national security matter, so national security and security apparatus will also pick it. And then conversation will ensue for us to get a lasting solution to it. So that is what we did.
I see. You mentioned the fact that security agencies such as the NIB got involved.
Yeah.
We earlier on got reports that some residents were picked up by these security agencies. Is there any truth in that, or has it come to your notice?
I'm not aware, but what I know is that the NIB agents too have been very phenomenal, and they called me to hear our side of it. They did a community tour to identify some of the cracks of people's property that they see, and they moved in with them, understanding and appreciating from the first-hand information the magnitude of the problem. They engaged the Sunda company to put an end, immediate seizure of the blasting, so that we can meet and find a better option, just as the MP also proposed. And they were firm on them, and that brought a stop to it. That was after we issued the statement. Yeah, so NIB has also been very phenomenal and very helpful in this direction.
Okay.
Yeah.
Prior to the meeting with management of the company, between you, the MC, the MP, and the management, had there been any activities of the company which was detrimental to residents in the area? Because it's a residential area, and with the company not a company at that not being far away, what are some of the effects that it has had on?
Before I come to that, let me make this clear. Yesterday, under the auspices of the Municipal Chief Executive Officer, we had a stakeholder meeting, including the NIB, the Assembly, the residents, the Sunda, and the Minerals Commission. And we've agreed on a roadmap.
Okay.
The Minerals Commission should come up with an impact assessment pending a resolution, so that we can chart a better way of the Chinese doing it, not to impact on the residents and people's property. And in the meeting, we agreed that that will be done, a committee will be formed that will be meeting to resolve this thing before we come up with a better way and acceptable means for the Chinese to do it in a wholesome manner. Based on the meeting and the confidence we have also in the meeting, we don't want to undermine it. We cannot give much, but let me say it on record that we have approached the MC, the MP, and the Chinese themselves on the unsafe way of doing the earthworks and their normal operational activities. One, they are doing massive earthworks, and it involves about 20 to 30 trucks that cross from the site to the laydown where they dump the topsoil and the rocks. They cross the main road that we use. Instead of a normal safety management protocol, putting just one person there with a green and red flag to regulate their trucks and other road users, it's not done. So the loaded trucks, when they are coming and you do not do defensive driving and stop when you even have right of way, they can just crash you. You can interview the taxi drivers around to find out another road user. It's so terrible. We've reported to them over and over. We are not seeing results. The diaper factory there, they burn the waste product openly.
They own a diaper factory as well?
Yeah, diaper factory down there. They burn the waste product openly. Instead of using industrial incinerator to manage the waste, they burn it openly with smoke daily over years.
How long have they been?
They generate massive dust. Instead of using water buzzer to water it so that the road becomes what? The dust become controlled. They don't. You complain, instead of even they will come and do it, but not with a water buzzer, but with what do you call concrete mixer. And that will make the road even worse off. So clearly, there are a lot of challenges they are posing, and they are also not cooperating, not at all.
How long have residents been putting up with this?
Oh, for the this factory was commissioned about 3-4 years ago. So about 4 years. About 4 years ago.
And during this period, you have reported to the EPA, MC, and MP, and despite all the reports, nothing has been done.
You know the typical Chinese philosophy and culture of lack of respect for indigenes and local governments, as clearly demonstrated at the Galamsey activities that we all see in this country. The MC have gone to them several times. MP have spoken to them, the previous and the current MP, they wouldn't mind. They don't mind. So my worry is EPA active in monitoring these factories? Is the Industrial Inspection Bureau or division within the Ministry of Trade working at all? Do they come around there, they see that the waste products are being burnt openly?
You mentioned that you have videos, and so it means you obviously have some visual evidence. Have you taken up and reported to the EPA with some of these?
Not directly to the EPA with the visual, but in terms of report, we've done it, but we've reported to the MC and the MP. Even the current issue, the MP has notified the Chief Executive Officer of the EPA.
Okay.
Yes, I've also cited the letter that invited the EPA to come for the meeting that we had the stakeholder. They didn't show up.
The stakeholder meeting you had?
Yes, EPA didn't come.
Okay, and did they give any reason?
No reason to my best of knowledge. Probably the MC will be able to tell. But such an important issue, you cannot gloss over. You cannot treat it as if it's not important. No. Look at the enclave, look at the kind of buildings and the number of people who live here. Massive, wide area. If you allow them, yes, they've been burning it openly. When are they going to stop? Is that a normal practice? Can this be done in China? Can this be done in any proper environment that human beings, life of human beings are valued? No.
Okay, yeah, you indicated earlier that Chinese culture, I think it would be a general statement if you say that a normal thing for them to be involved in some of the things that you have mentioned? Because I believe there are some other Chinese companies in the country that are obliging to the lay down rules and all that.
Oh, the reason why I'm saying Chinese culture,
You said that they don't say it,
if you understand business language and practices and culture around business setup, clearly that of American, Australia, Canada is entirely different from that of Chinese. The Chinese one we all know is ruthless. They don't give respect to human beings, and they can do. Chinese still believe that, hey, we can pay our way through and do whatever we want. Look at what is happening at the Galamsey side.
But
And they also know that, hey, after all, what, Ghana, we can just do it and go.
No, but we still have some legit ones who are doing the
Can
right
you cite
thing.
one?
But
I've
that's-
given enough evidence to the contrary that we've lived here with these people over years, and that their practices. It's what even just one person to hold two flags for safety of these massive earthworks, they've glossed over it. We've said it time and countless. They are not even bringing such a person there to regulate it. What kind of culture is that? I've worked with American company before. They don't do that.
Talking of
Safety is utmost important. And the philosophy that nothing is what? It's worth doing in an unsafe manner. None.
so from your experience,
From my experience, as compared to that of the Chinese. Two, clearly, a civil business entity would have done massive engagement of the people before starting even the earthworks, before starting the blasting. None of this nature. It's about safety. It's about their culture. That's how they are.
again,
And instead of
from your
applying our
experience,
laws so that they are regulated, none. We push for their EIS, environmental impact statement, to know the risk, the disturbance they've caused to the road.
risk assessment and all that.
The risk assessment, mitigation methods or strategies to solve all these problems. We didn't see one. They are not showing them to us. Is it not a culture of Chinese? Coupled with Ghana allowing anything to happen? But we've indicated clearly to them in a civil way that we will not countenance their behavior any longer. Because we are experiencing it. EPA is not experiencing the smoke daily basis. Our children are traveling on the road to school. We are also traveling on the road to work. We are not experiencing, EPA and other stakeholders are not experiencing the risk. We are. And the laws of Ghana gives us the right to defend ourselves. It is enshrined even in what? In our constitution. It's entrenched in our national anthem. So we've told them, we've indicated to them in a nice way with respect that no longer are we going to tolerate that. We won't sit down for fatality to happen before we rise up. We will not also sit down for them to what? To impact us significantly with the smoke before what? We rise up. Now is the time. For the down 4 years, they've taken it freebie. Going forward, they must do the right thing.
After the consultative meetings, the stakeholder meetings, were there timelines drawn as to when to expect some?
There were timeline drawn and specific decisions reached. EPA, no, a mineral commission is supposed to come up with a, what do you call it, impact assessment.
Okay.
Then we all, number two, Sunda supposed to stop the blasting. This blasting is sitting at the center of a peri-urban. This is not a peri-urban, an urban environment. It's sitting at the center of urban environment. And this place is a residential area, even where they are working, until it was recently rezoned to be a light industrial area. So they came to meet us here. We've welcomed them, we've lived without any hostility. Because we appreciate the national development goals of the country. Ghana must develop, people need employment fund, but it doesn't mean that it should be done out of law. It should be done within the context of law and safety. Giving us employment and killing the rest. giving us employment and subjecting us to a higher risk of possible or probable earthquake. Is it a good deal we should go in for? No. I believe that there are better engineering options to do their blasting. And just as I said, I don't want to undermine the committee's work that we are about to do. We've indicated to them clearly they should also respect that going forward, they need to live with us in a humane and civil manner.
Okay. Any additional thoughts or any other words you want to add up?
I will thank you, and I give her a commendation to the MP and the MC and the NIB agents. They've been phenomenal in solving this problem. Over and over, they've approached it with respect to this blasting and evidence that they've seen. I mean, they've moved in swiftly to solve it, and the Minerals Commission gentleman Collins too, I mean, when confronted with the realities, I've also realized the need for them to halt. And that is what we are all looking out for. We don't hate them, they don't hate us. So we are optimistic that we find a solution to it, and we live peacefully with Sunda.
Yeah, but before I go, in the events that after the meetings, a solution, an amicable solution is not obtained, what is the Westhills Landlords and Association going to do about it?
My understanding to your question is that if you do not find amicable solution, it means that Sunda is not living within the context of the laws of the country. That is how I see it. Because you are blasting to build your factory. And building of your factory is destroying people's factory and structural integrity. Stop for us to find a better option. Say that no, you do it. The permit has conditions. Clearly, they've breached the permit conditions. As when we met yesterday, clearly they've breached some of the permit conditions. It's obvious. In that context, we also exercise our right within the context of the laws of the land. We protect our properties. We protect our families. And protect our lives within the context of what? Of the law. That one I can assure you.
All right. Thank you for these revelations, Reverend Radio Entry. We'll see how the authorities will react to this, and we'll be following keenly and see how that goes.
You're most welcome. It is said that in secrecy, evil thrives. Once you've unearthed them to the whole world, certainly, I know the sobriety that has brought to bear on Sunda people will continue to have a positive outcome. So we are also grateful to you. Thank you as well.
Today we have been speaking with the chairman of the Westhills City Landlords and Residents Association, who's been sharing with us some adverse effects that a construction company in the area has been having on structures here. Essentially, he's saying that after meetings with the management, the MC, MP, and Minerals Commission, he's hoping that the right thing will be done so that the sanity and safety of residents in this area can be assured. We are currently at the Dunkuna taxi rank, otherwise known as the Malcolm taxi rank, where we are going to engage some residents who are essentially taxi drivers about how the activities of the company that we spoke about earlier is affecting them. And Pacho, you're frozen?
Pacho, I'm the City.
Okay, Mr. City. Well, sure, as a resident, company, how does that affect you?
The affecting what happened, say, a Saka Sankasiano, or when I'm someone to Mwasi. And a yellow do taxi for yellow na aircon, and I feel almost our son will boom through the Guaso. Sample the Omaniwa, no more Babe Guaso, no maybe Sion, no Futrono, or move Guaso, and we say no, at the area, and the Sakurina Nabano, a bit me a high, Yaquano sing yet. Quano or send commotion no Muses or Mojo no Muses, Tail and Cassian, or Mubon Futro Guaso, a high, Tiasra Bank. Omomra boyan kanu tumi say na cross kwan no ne yenye ba bi mfa nti esram aban mra mahwen na yeah mobile pa.
Apart from the fact that taxi driver no, what's here?
Me mete area me here mete red top baby yellow do kon. Okay. Ya hoye dunkuna, hona yeti.
Nti yeti say omo blaste fencing. The omo blaste be Saturday na it caused something like an earthquake. How did that affect people? Onema say we fear and I say if you something happened to you.
And not the blasting there, no kwaya me there and me.
Okay.
Me hu hwe nso.
What in emphasize?
It's red top dunkuna red top.
Okay.
E ho anso na omo yes ha blasting no. We feel ansa na we red top. Nti me there. And me.
Okay.
So omo blasted born na. It me matter say the earthquake a shake no. It me matter say the earthquake man a shake no. Ti one mo abagu say edan ni nyina e wo so. Nti sometimes no be hu an say aba. Ti say the earthquake no so be kom no omo wo around but say nya earthquake na omo no mo blast e bo ni nti na ma sa shake no eba e wo ho no.
How long na number say CC?
Oh man, na aba in once in a broom way. Go on my week no na betimi aba 2 times. Oh man, no me jaya once in a broom way na aba. As a earthquake no. Best thing be the blasting na ya serious. So now better say dan e shaky.
Yeah, assess your money ma paying. When you go for assess your money ma.
Okay, me so far no me dey me so obi ase bibia ase obi na ma but what plug go ade bi ne dem tin say ah. One hwe ade be china free just say. Because blasting na is serious. Oh, say okay, I don't know. Said the SSA. Yeah, near money they were blasting a con and come inform your crumble said they are coming to do no mobile baby say crumble na ya way. So mobile baby saying to no better house. But I told that one what to say. BB shaky diner on Tiasi. And then a higher.
Also, how now? I didn't affect you saying.
Okay, me dey say ka blasting no mo here and actual blasting me be I want to say na your watch nti aba fete mo around no sa ko na blasting na aba fete but here ne we go ever say blasting wo ha yeah your be say more neck okay so what you say to ha nti ye free anything bia but so mo be blast there na bia ye ba o mutumi stop here say ye ngina mo ye blast afa blast ni abetwam sa na tem ana me ade ba kwa ha me pa ne say sa Sunda factory na ho no chane for no factory na ho no omo na omo factory no ana omo so no wusu sa toga kese no sa trailer no omo na omo sa trailer na ebe pack ho but there we say wa kwa tipa kase so tu ahua ekoda sa but taxi driver wa wona mo main road a okọ no na tipa ka ono ofi oba be si junction so onjira ma o no kwa speed into here this is what ba bo akun afa no this the main problem you face and I say ko you face ya kwa no ko hwe at go carry to me send as kwa no be wa o tu so nwa bi afa na akwa no ese ya ahomte nso to ayo tumi ya adwuma o pa say ye gyan system say to do ye nya be pack ka bia tumi nko ka bia tumi ma nya kwa na say ya doko a masa o kara ade ba o tu pompom fa kwaso je so pack ka no anante but and I say I go say on the titi I say omo ba adwuma say ya do omo ba e bosses pe na ya pon buka kwa na ye kwa very bad ye ntumi nko e say ye pon what you say ben pele sa de basa sa continue ntumi problem say sa Sunda for no omo kasa che omo drivers no e tira drivers ni atukuta drivers no ane sa tipa cars no sa mo omo say ye ba ye na me mero ni e ba nti was akwasa ohena sa oba ne say e konta na akọ e dodo na akọ nti se te na betu akontinya abote na tax na metwam ebe na wonim ka na ba ebe wonim ni problem o de ba to na mero na wo ba no wa so anu hu ona say condition wa so ne e condition wa bro gas no atwam fum o ya listen obekun onjina ma o but asem ye kan bla ya sam keto a serious case
papa experience next time
the same thing so sir because o hwe kwan na kwan nya because ebi otola ntimi ba o hwe betum ko abo weku because say like the sir ban be because na quantity you know ebi taxi nko access CC o
omuni obia ogina ho a ode ebi trafficator direct me say
obi ni oza because I don't know meaning there because say my basic company say na mutimi nya kwan there I don't see the reason why easy o entin say mutimi nya kwan because ebi kwan so talk a untimi o enso timi ta ho like can't me ko untimi mba entin ya sa ban say utimi be ya kebe bo an
Well, so those were some concerns raised by taxi drivers here at the Malcolm taxi rank. Essentially, they are saying that they want some level of sanity as far as the usage of the road is concerned. They are pleading that in as much as both the drivers and the company trucks are using the road, they should be moderate in the way they speed, and they want the roads to be fixed and things to be taken care of. My name is Lord Harris Ibrasari, and this has been another edition of Say It Loud.